This is a waterproof membrane, one of the best ways that you can waterproof your shower. And today I'm about to create the greatest tutorial on how to install this on your walls that you have ever seen. I'm calling it a work along. Basically, you're going to copy me step by step by step in order to do this perfectly. There's going to be 3 steps that you're going to follow in order to execute this to perfection. 1 is going to be your thin set and how to mix it. 2, how do you apply the thin set onto the wall and not lose your mind over it? And 3, it's going to be how do you actually apply this membrane over the top of it to make a perfect connection with that wall. For this video alone, we've created a bundle with Place for Pros and Guru, where if you get the 108 square foot roll of this membrane, the trowel that you need to use comes with it for free. And again, the reasoning for this is I want to make sure that whatever you have in your hand is what I have in my hand. So go in the comments, type in Winnie108, and I'll send you the link for this bundle. Let's do this. This is about to be epic tutorial. Let's get into it. So this first step is by far the most important and critical step in this entire process. It's the thin set. You want to make sure that your thin set is smooth, it's sticky, and it has a long pot life. And that's what you get with this Laticrete Multi-Max Lite. It is kind of expensive, but you only need 1 bag of it. So if you have to pay extra couple dollars for the premium thin set, you want to make sure that you do that. So I get mine at Floor & Decor. If you guys can have a local Floor & Decor, go and get it there or find it somewhere else. But this is the thin set that I would recommend, and this is what we're going to use in our tutorial. So we have our measuring bucket here. I'm going to measure in liters of how many liters you need versus how many liters of water you need. This way your consistency is exactly the same to my consistency when we put it up on the wall. This is by far the most crucial step, so let's make sure we get it right. Typically for an entire shower, I need about 1/3 of a bucket. So let's see how many liters that kind of comes into or ends up being. So I'm gonna go, let's say about 8 liters. And I know that's not the measurement you do, but it's the one that kind of makes sense for us here. So we're talking 8 liters of thin set. 2, let's figure out how many liters of water then you need. And when you are looking for water, you want to make sure that you're finding the coldest water that you could get in your house, because if you add hot water into it, it's going to speed up the chemical reaction, which will lower the pot life of this, and then it's going to start curing up on your wall too fast. So find cold water. So we're going to start with 2 liters of water, as you can see here, and it's ice cold water that I'm going to add right into it. And then mix it up, and then I'll see how much more I need. So this way, by the time I'm done, you know exactly the amount of water that you're gonna need in order to do this perfectly. All right, so that's definitely not even close. So we're gonna add another 1.5 liters of water and mix it up again. So we're very close. So I'm gonna add another 1/2 liter, which will put us at 4 liters of water. This has to be runnier. That's why you can't just read the back of the bag and then mix it to that. It just doesn't work that well. We're gonna mix this up, and that's gonna put us at 4 liters. So this right here is about the consistency that we're looking for. So we've mixed it for 3 minutes. Then we're going to let this sit for about 5 minutes and then mix it again for 2 or 3 minutes. And what that will do is give you that perfect bucket life. Basically, how long can this last before it starts to drying up? While that's happening, we're gonna start sponging down our wall to make sure that there's no boogers on it. So I have a line here of exactly where my shower is going to end. So what I'm gonna do is grab a sponge, kind of a damp sponge, and then go through it and start to wipe all this down. I wanna make sure that there's no boogers, but then also at the same time, what I'm doing is giving this drywall a little bit of moisture, because the thin set that we're gonna put on it is 1/8 of an inch thin. So it's very, very thin. So if you were to put that onto a drywall, is just going to suck that moisture out of it, and it's really not going to give you a lot of work time. So by adding a little bit of moisture into your drywall here, it's going to kind of give it a drink so it's not thirsty anymore, if that makes sense. And then it doesn't just drain the water out of the thin set when you put it on there. And what we're doing here again is just giving us a bigger window of having to put that up there, so we're not panicking trying to throw all that stuff up there. So while that is marinating here, we're going to mix that now 1 more time. And again, this is the perfect consistency that you need. So to remind you, it's 8 liters of thin set versus 4 liters of water, and then mix it in. Do not go lower. If you go just a smidge over 4 liters, that's okay. Definitely don't go under that. So let's mix this up 1 more time and start to put it up on the wall. so we're doing pretty good. We got our thinset mixed. Now we're ready to put it up on the wall. And this is where the wheels fall off the car typically for you guys. Because getting that loosely mixed thinset onto your wall is really difficult without making a mess of everything. So you have to get this scoop trowel. At any hardware store has it. If you don't have this, do not do this project. I'm telling you, this will save your mind by making everything cleaner. So all we're gonna do is just grab a small dab of it. Don't overfill it. We're going to get our 1/8 inch trowel that again is included in your purchase of the membrane. We're going to put it right behind there, put it up top, and bring it over. Put it up top, bring it over. Then we're gonna go to the bottom of our wall, put it down, light pressure, and then just go up with it until it ends. And now you've successfully transferred your thinset from the bucket onto your wall. Again, we're going to scoop a small amount of it, put it on top, transfer it over. You see I'm kind of tilting it back a little bit. We're gonna go back here, put it up on our wall. Don't worry about anything else. All we wanna do right now is get the thinset from the bucket to our wall. So I'm not troweling any of this stuff out yet. What I wanna do is put the thinset onto the wall, and then at the end, I'm gonna trowel it, stick my membrane to it. Because the moment that you actually trowel it is when it starts to dry up and it starts to kind of like, all right, showtime, we gotta put that thing on. But if it's flat like this, it's still kind of keeping its moisture in there, it's still kind of keeping its shape. So we're gonna fill the rest of this with thinset, and then let's trowel it. So at the bottom here, we're just going to kind of work our way up a little bit first. If you are collecting extra thinset, like I am right here, we're just gonna bring it over to our bucket and go like that and get rid of it. Don't worry about directional troweling just yet. At the end, basically, we're going to hit it and then put the membrane on top of it. So now we're just collecting some of that thinset. And go like that. All right, so now what that did is basically left us with enough thinset that we know that we need in order to do the 1/8 inch trowel. So now from the top, all I'm gonna do is then add the directional troweling that we're looking for, like this. Kind of overlap it 50%. This way, if you have any ooze out, it's gonna stay at the bottom. And then occasionally you just might have to transfer that over to your bucket. But right now we're doing really well. So I'm just gonna keep this gravy train going here. You see how I'm overlapping my previous one in order to keep that nice and clean? See a little flat area here? I'm going to fill that because that's where my seam is, but don't worry about that. Keep going like this. Nice little firm pressure. Keep the trowel on a 45, and we're gonna bring it all the way down. All right, so I kind of lost my pencil mark there, and what I'm gonna do is grab my laser here and then find that mark right there with my laser. This way, when I'm putting up the membrane, I'm just gonna follow my laser and I don't really have to lose that. I to install my membrane, I'm gonna have 2 spackle knives with me. This is a 6 inch and an 8 inch. So what I'm gonna do is kind of unroll my membrane first. And I see that I have about 2 inches here that I need to drop down. So I'm going to give that 2 inches of room here. So about there. Follow my laser line now, right? And then we're just going to keep applying this membrane on our laser mark here. And it is a little bit easier just to work from the bottom. This way you're not stuck with a bunch of membrane at the top here. So we're just gonna keep unrolling this. I do know that this is kind of in the way here, but it's okay, just bear with me. We're just putting this on there. We're not trying to apply this yet. We're just gonna follow our laser line here and then put this on and follow that laser. So we're just gonna roll this out. Keep following that laser line here. You can still shift it around, just like that. And now here, if I see that I am on that laser, we're gonna start to move some of that air out of the way. So I'm just going to use my hand and start applying it. And then you're looking for tight spots. So for us, I just wanna get rid of all that extra membrane at the top because I don't want it to get drooped down. So I'm just gonna grab my box cutter, go from the center here, and cut that off. If you're cutting that corner at the top, it really doesn't matter for us because we are going to tile there anyway. So now I know that's not gonna get in the way. Then I have a tight spot right here. So what I'm gonna do with that I am going to use my scissors. You want to make sure that you have your scissors for this entire install. And I'm going into this corner. So right there. And then into the corner. Bang. This is perfect overlap that we need right here. And then look at that bottom. And same thing, we have a tight corner right here. So I'm just going to, I see where that ends. I'm going to go right there, cut that off. And then for us, because we do have the waterproofing already here, we don't need this at the top. I already tiled my curve. I did that a little bit backwards, but if that's already in the way, you can go ahead and cut that off. All right, so now when we're moving our air out of the way, remember we did directional troweling sideways, and here's why. So once we start to collapse our middle, basically getting the air out of the middle, I'm putting firm pressure. I'm not squeezing on this. I'm just putting firm pressure on this, making sure it's nice and flat. There's no bubbles. Now, I just have to move the air from the center to the outside, and that's about less than 20 inches here. So all I have to do is just go like that and move that air to the outside. See how little thinset came out? Because I'm gently pressing on it and just moving that out. I'm not trying to squeeze the thinset out because the thinset is what glues this thing together. If I squeeze all the thinset out, then nothing's going to glue it. So because we started in the middle and we did directional troweling sideways, that's all you have to do. So this entire area here is nice and perfect. And then to go the other way, again, out of the middle, and then you work sideways. So you want to collapse the middle and then work to the sides. All right, so now we're doing our next piece here. And typically, if you guys most likely don't have a big niche like this or big shelf like this, so all you have to do is just get your next piece and it just overlaps that perfectly right there. For us, we do have to make sure that we're covering this side as well. So I'm going to overlap it about to there. So kind of go like this. See where that puts me out here. So I see that my edge is going to be right here. And then I can throw my laser on that and I know exactly where I have to stop with my thinset before I have to keep going. All right, so now we're going to take our membrane. We have our laser here. I'm going to line it up right there at the floor. Line it up right there. And then just go up with it. So right away, the first thing I want to do is just get rid of the stuff that's in the way for me. And right now, all this access stuff at the top is in the way. All right, so this corner here, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out just because I'm going to use an inside corner and an outside corner there. So it's going to go into there. And then this side. What we're looking for is 99% coverage. Let's see if we're getting that. We didn't get it. That's 100% coverage. Let's go. Here are two very important things here for our install, and you might have this as well in your niche. We need to install an outside corner right here, and then an inside corner is going to go here to make sure that we have this connection right here waterproof. So let's install that, and then I'll show you what this entire thing looks like once it's done. So the tile that we're going to be installing in here is this huge 36 by 60 tile that's going to go here, and we're going to have a nice mitered edge. And I am going to do the exact same tutorial as I did on this, on how to miter your tile and how to epoxy. A lot of people show you how to miter it, but not a lot of people actually show you how to epoxy. And I'm going to include all the products inside that tutorial as well. But here's what we got. So this entire process took about 3 hours, and that's with me making this amazing tutorial. So if you guys have any questions, make sure to share them down in the comments. If you have questions on how to order this stuff and what else do you need for your shower system, make sure to send Place for Pros an email and we'll help you out. I hope you enjoyed this one. I did.